Hello, everybody. Welcome into our Chase for the Championship tailgate. I'm Brandon Adams. Happy to have Jeff Sintel by here there as well. And what a festive atmosphere we have right now as Georgia gets ready to take on Alabama for the SEC Championship. And we get to do our part to preview that with here. Special guests coming up beyond just Jeff and me over the course of our time here today as folks enjoy the great food, the great beverage, and some really good-looking Dog Nation Chase of the Championship T-shirts. I'm going to try to show you one of these before we're done because admittedly this is a little self-serving. This is one of the best-looking T-shirts I think we've done here around Dog Nation, and it is great right now to see everybody having a good time with all of that. Jeff, I'm sure you've noticed what I've noticed, that when you look at the way it's all going down here today, you see a bunch of folks here around Dog Nation all across downtown Atlanta here right now that are certainly fired up, feeling like this is that next step towards a championship for the Dogs against that hated arch nemesis, which is the Alabama Crimson Tide. Today can certainly be a big day for UGA.
I think most folks think it's going to be a coronation march, don't you think? But I don't know if it's that. It's going to be that tidy and that neat. I think this will be a brutal football game that's going to take place right there behind us in about 4 hours. Everybody's went through talking season on this game. It's funny, there's a different atmosphere right now. You're walking around. This might be the Home Depot backyard area we're in, but everybody's kind of dressed to the nines. Everybody's walking around. There's some excitement. There's a lot of chestiness. You know what I mean by that, Brandon? There's a lot of chest out here right now from Dog Nation about what they think is going to come in this stadium today.
So I hope you'll be with us for our entire broadcast here. Now, we'll be inside the stadium for our Kroger kickoff coming up in a few minutes. Hope to be able to show you the UGA team as it arrives into Mercedes-Benz Stadium coming up in a few minutes' time, and the scene from inside the stadium there as well. But as part of this special pregame coverage here for our Chase for the Championship event, you're going to get a chance to hear from some of the top names from ESPN. Before we're done, we'll talk to Tim Tebow, the former Florida quarterback, Heisman Trophy winner, about what he thinks about Stetson Bennett coming into the game today. Also, what it was like to be on the other side of Alabama as an underdog back for the 2009 SEC Championship. Of course, we know how that worked out. Tebow wasn't all that happy with the fact that I brought that up with him. But nonetheless, we'll hear from him on that. We'll get a chance to hear from Roman Harper, the great former Alabama Crimson Tide player, SEC Network analyst, about what he's seen from the Georgia defense. He said very clearly that he's a big fan of what this Georgia defense has been able to do this season. Over the course of our time talking to him this afternoon, he's going to tell us why about that. Good stuff coming up from Reese Davis, the host of ESPN's College Game Day. You may have seen him this morning on College Game Day, live from Atlanta. Talked to Reese a little bit yesterday about Reese's belief that, and he said it very clearly, that when Georgia gets over that hump against Alabama, he doesn't think it's going to be by a single score or by a narrow margin, that it may be 40 years worth of frustration being taken out by Georgia against Alabama. That's good stuff from Reese Davis. But in particular, Jeff, I hope folks will stick around here for just a couple of minutes because we're about to get to this. I had a chance yesterday to talk to the great former Georgia Bulldog, and I don't use great lightly in this instance, one of the best Bulldogs there ever was. That's David Pollack, who's also now a part of ESPN's College Game Day there as well. And David gave a lot of astute analysis here, but one of the questions I asked David in particular was, as a player, Georgia today faces something that he in his career never faced, which is you step on the field, you play a game in which the outcome doesn't necessarily determine your fate. There are plenty of people who believe that Georgia's going to make the college football playoff, whether it beats Alabama today or not. And I asked him, as a competitor, how would that impact your preparation going into a game like this? I don't think you're going to be surprised that David Pollack had a great answer to that question.
Yeah, David kind of went full bore, 47 on that. He started talking about what he would be like if he had to put his player hat on, Brandon. And I think you guys are going to – maybe it's not going to be quite Kirby Smart's halftime speech against Florida, but it's going to get a lot of folks fired up because, Brandon, it really is more than just a football game and another path on the way to a championship.
So before we hear from David Pollack, I want to tell you about one of our great new sponsors here around Dog Nation. It's called Space Dogs. Now listen, a lot of you have probably been hearing about the idea of cryptocurrency, and you may be curious about that. Well, my friends at Space Dogs are taking the mystery out of crypto here a little bit. It's going to be a great way for you to pay for all the things that you love doing, especially as we head towards the holiday season. This is going to be a cool thing to learn more about and also kind of enter the crypto world in kind of a safe and easy way. That's what Space Dogs provide. Also good dog people there as well. So let me tell you about a couple of the products they have coming down the pike here. First of all, think about the brand new crypto token they're putting out here right now and their upcoming Dogs Wallet and Space Card. These are all things that they're going to be doing as I said before, they're going to allow you to make the payments for the things you enjoy doing so much easier. And for those of you who kind of wanted to sort of dip your toe into that crypto world that's such a big deal right now, Space Dog is going to be the fun, easy way to do that with good dog people who love UGA and love having a good time with the folks here around Dog Nation. So I want you to find out more about Space Dogs. If you hear me saying this and you're saying, BA, what is a crypto wallet? What is a space car? What are all these things? What is Space Dogs in particular? Let me give you a website to go to that you can learn more about this, and it'll even explain it even better than I am right now. Just check out dogs.io. Now, dogs is, of course, spelled the way it's supposed to be, DAWGS, dogs.io. You can learn about Space Dogs. You can learn about the crypto wallet, the Dogs wallet. You can learn about the space card, and you can learn about all the ways in which crypto is a fun thing to be a part of, and getting involved with my friends at Space Dogs makes that even easier. So check out dogs.io for a lot more on that. Now, as promised, I want you to get fired up. I want you ready for the SEC Championship today. There's a lot that I can say to help you get that way, but my good friend, the former dog, David Pollack, he's even better at doing that than I am. So let's let you hear from Pollack. I recorded this yesterday, host of ESPN's College Game Day, one of the great dogs there ever was, and he's going to tell you how Georgia gets it done, and he's going to tell you what the mindset of UGA should be going into this game here today. So enjoy David Pollack right now. David Pollack, the co-host of ESPN's College Game Day, and I guess simple terms, what's it going to take for Georgia to win this game tomorrow?
Simple terms, score more points than the other team.
How about a little bit more complicated than that?
I think Georgia's offense has to play like it's played, and I think people look at Georgia's defense and they give them props, and rightfully so. But their offense is number 3 in the country, I think. So you got a top 5 offense with a defense that's one of the best we've ever seen in the history of college football. So I think continuing to do what they've been doing offensively and scoring points. I love the way they use Bowers. I love the way they use their tight ends. Physicality. I think Stetson Bennett running will be another key to the game, which people are going to find out. Like, he's pretty athletic when he runs away from people. So just keep doing what you've been doing.
Going to challenge Alabama offensively. Obviously, probably the most explosive offense Georgia's seen. What does that mean for the Georgia defense against a group like that that's just a little bit more accomplished than what they have been playing?
Well, I think they got a home run hitter out wide with Jamison Williams. He can go. So that you're cognizant of that right away. You've seen some plays that have been made on the back end. You've seen some PIs called, and you've seen some plays that could have been made in the Tennessee game. You saw some of those too. So I think the challenge will be the speed on the perimeter. And if I'm Alabama, I'm probably going to go more tempo. If I'm Alabama, I'm going to play under center. Now, listen, you don't change who you are in 1 week, but I tell you what, I'm not impressed with what I've seen from them the last several weeks, and specifically up front. I mean, they're rotating right tackles. They're changing their center. Like, they're not great up front. Not what we're accustomed to seeing. And here's what's crazy. We talk about that, and they're still the second or third best team in the country, but they're just not as explosive as they used to be when you had all those freaks at wide receiver for all those years that just you're seeing Mac Jones. He's pretty good in the NFL. Tua's doing pretty well right now. Like, all these guys, Waddle's killing it. So I think you kind of see these guys were rare playmakers that they had.
How do you think you would have handled a game in your career knowing that Georgia can still go to the playoff, even if it lose tomorrow, probably will? What would that have done to your pregame motivation, knowing that you kind of have a little less to play for than sometimes you do in games like this?
That wasn't a part of my DNA. I wouldn't have thought like that. And here's the thing. I'm just telling you, if you want to put me on my player hat on, like, I want to rip the heart out of these guys. Like, I want to finish. If I'm a Georgia player, I want to finish Bama myself. Like, I'm Mortal Kombat. Like, I didn't want Auburn to finish them. If they stood them up, whatever. But I want to put the finishing touches on what they've done to you the past several years. If it wasn't Alabama, maybe I think you give a little more credence to that. But this is a team that's kept you from winning a championship directly, second and 26, and in years past also kept you from playing for a championship. So if you need motivation for this, I don't want you in my foxhole.
Great stuff there from David Pollack, and you love that fiery level of motivation that Pollack said he would have playing in a game like this today, wanting to be the team that eliminates Alabama from contention, and you wouldn't expect anything less from David Pollack. I love that level of energy, and I feel like Georgia fans are kind of already at a fever pitch, but Jeff Sintel, I feel like hearing those words from Pollack gets you fired up that much more.
Yeah, the hype videos have been out. What did he say? Rip their hearts out, tear their hearts out. I mean, really, this is, like we said earlier, Brendan, we had some bantering back and forth about I didn't feel that this march to what everything that could be ahead of everything for this team, it just didn't feel right. It didn't feel perfect. It didn't feel storybook without slaying the Bama Goliath, slaying the Bama Giant. We can use all those literal terms, but Georgia needs to beat Alabama to really show that they're on the mountaintop of college football.
Of course, it wouldn't be a Dog Nation tailgate, and that's exactly where we are right now, our chase for the championship tailgate. We believe it begins here today in Atlanta. It concludes in the month of January in Indianapolis, and it wouldn't be a chase for the championship tailgate without our friends from Kroger, and Kroger's got a great new program I want to make sure you're aware of. I'm talking about Kroger Boost. You can find more about this by checking out Kroger.com/boost. That's Kroger.com/boost. You can get free grocery delivery. You can get twice the fuel points there as well. All kinds of other great incentives, too. And it costs as little as $59 for all of that. So Kroger.com/boost, and you can learn a lot more. We've got a great array of special guests who are a part of what we're doing here today. You just heard from David Pollack. Another member of the broadcast team that he's a part of on ESPN's College Game Day is the host of that show, Reese Davis. Now, Reese is an Alabama grad. He doesn't shy away from saying that, but he's also a big fan of what's happening here at UGA with the Dogs there as well. And on an ESPN podcast earlier this week, Davis said something that got a lot of attention, his belief that when Georgia finally does get over the Alabama hump, and to a degree that's obviously what today is about, when Georgia finally gets over that hump, that it's not going to just be, in Reese's idea, an easy, close win. It's going to be the kind of thing where Georgia really distances itself and really takes out, as Reese said, maybe some frustration against the Alabama Crimson Tide. Well, yesterday I caught up with Reese Davis, the host of ESPN's College Game Day, and I want to let you hear more of his thoughts on that and the fact that you could have several party crashers in the college football playoff this year. Not just Georgia getting over the hump against Alabama, but potentially Oklahoma State, who's getting past now the Oklahoma Sooners, Michigan, after being in the shadow of Ohio State for quite some time. The landscape that Georgia could find itself in if it enters the college football playoff after today. Good stuff from the host of ESPN's College Game Day, Reese Davis. Let's check that out right now as Chase for the Championship continues. Here with Reese Davis, the host of ESPN's College Game Day, and one of the things that you've said that's gotten a lot of attention among Georgia fans is your belief, and I hope I'm not putting words in your mouth, that when it finally does happen for Georgia against Alabama, it might not be a last-second score. It might be one of those things where a lot of frustration, 40 years worth of frustration, gets taken out there. Would you mind expanding on that thought just a little bit?
I think all you have to do is look back to last week in the Big House. And when frustration builds up like that, for whatever reason, it seems like in sports, when the guy that faces the nemesis and finally overcomes him, it's not that signature moment. It's not 2nd and 26. It's not Jalen Hurts off the bench, although I guess it could be JT Daniels off the bench, maybe in Georgia's fantasy world. But I sort of think it'll be one of those where it's decisive, much like Michigan against Ohio State was last week. And I don't know, there's no real scientific evidence or metrics or data to back that up, just sort of a gut feeling based on watching this sport over the years.
And I'm sure it's not lost on you that the playoff could look a lot like that. Oklahoma State maybe getting past Bedlam, and now they're in the playoff. Obviously, you mentioned Michigan getting past Ohio State. It could be a sort of a retribution-themed playoff in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah. You may have a playoff field if the favorites, where the field has a grand total of one playoff appearance, which would be Georgia's in 2017. And for those teams which have had their issues, and Cincinnati, I guess, breaking through the proverbial glass ceiling and getting in, if it does in fact get in, it would be, retribution probably would be a theme, or I don't want to say revenge of the nerds, but revenge of the overlooked, or revenge of the downtrodden, or however you want to phrase it. Fits that narrative, but the others certainly would. Well, Michigan wouldn't either, I guess, but just in recent history.
Speaking of the narrative for Georgia, clearly the best team in the country, I think you can say throughout the season, yet, as you said, the history for Alabama means a lot here. How much does Georgia trying to get over that hump against Alabama, How much does that come into play in your mind when you just think about watching the game on TV and the way that the rest of the college football is going to experience the game?
It depends on, as far as on the field, I think it depends on how it starts and what Georgia's mental approach to it is. It's not that guys start thinking in the middle of the game, oh my gosh, here we go again. It's just that little hair of pressing, of trying too hard. Am I right? Am I really seeing what I think I see? That little hesitancy that comes with starting to press a little bit. That's what you wait and see. If it's a tight game late, does Georgia continue to play at the same level with the same focus, or do they start pressing a little bit? There's no way to know that until you see how the game unfolds. One thing that would help that would be getting off to an early lead. So we'll see if they're able to do that.
Appreciate your time.
You bet, man.
Who makes those? The ones with the silver britches?
You have to get them custom made. I think probably different people do. So much fun to catch up with Reese Davis. I've always been a fan of his work. You know, he's one of those guys, and we don't always love everybody from ESPN, to be completely frank, but we do love those that genuinely like college football, and Reese is certainly one that does. He loves the sport. He's been a big fan of it for a while, and those are the kinds of guys that should get the big promotions, and Reese has been doing a great job for years now as the host of ESPN's College Game Day, and fun, always fun when we get a chance to speak to him, and great there yesterday there as well. Before we move on here, Jeff, can you be my model here for a second? Hold this up there. Let's make sure everybody can see this. And if you want to, you can even walk a little closer to the camera so folks can see it even better. I am so proud of this Chase for the Championship T-shirt. We believe it starts here today in Atlanta. Folks driving down, they see all those highway signs. That's the theme for all of that. Obviously, it begins in Atlanta. It ends in Indianapolis. And we think this is going to be a lot of fun. And just shouts out for the entire Dog Nation team, our buddy BJ, who okayed the multicolor on the, like, it's not a one-color screen print here. This is multicolors on the screen print. If you're in the screen printing world, you know that's kind of a big deal there. So I'm really excited about that. And we've obviously given those out to all the folks today who are part of our Chase for the championship event. And we would not be able to do T-shirts like this. We would not be able to do a tailgate like this with all the great food and all the great fun that people are enjoying. We would not be able to do that if not for great sponsors, including our friends at Marlowe's Tavern. It was so much fun this past Thursday to be back at Marlowe's Tavern again, the Marlowe's Tavern in Brookhaven. And it was just great to be able to do that. And we told folks about the big promotion. Marlowe's has been doing this with us now for a number of years, and it's always Christmas season to me when you hear about Marlowe's and those gift cards, and that's back again. Get the $50 Marlowe's Tavern gift card. And when you do, how about a complimentary bottle of Michelle Brut Sparkling Wine as a special thank you to you for doing that. And in addition to that, if you get a $100 Marlowe's gift card, not only do you get the Michelle Brut Sparkling Wine, you also get a bonus $20 gift card to go on top of that. So you can give the $100 gift to someone else. You can keep the $20 for yourself. You can pop the cork on the sparkling wine when Georgia wins here tonight. A lot of things can go on there when it comes to Marlowe's Tavern, and that's great stuff all the way around. And, you know, it's interesting, Jeff, to hear Reese there talking about the landscape for the college football playoff. And I don't think there's any doubt in my mind, maybe you feel differently, but I think you probably don't, that the stiffest challenge that Georgia could face today, I should say, in the rest of its run towards the championship is against Alabama today. That the college football playoff potentially actually sets up pretty well for UGA there, and that's before you have the potential for chaos right now. There's a gigantic screen television over here to my right, and I'm going to step out of the frame just for a second. 14-3, Baylor leads over Oklahoma State right now, so the potential for chaos ensuing if the Cowboys, if that score maintains, although there is still a lot of football left to go. But one of the things that will be happening, Jeff, in addition to obviously hoping to see Georgia get a win against Alabama today, is to also see what the rest of the college football playoff looks like around these dogs.
Yeah, and the couple of things to think about here is that chaos theory happens and Armageddon happens. Everybody should probably be fearful of Notre Dame with a storyline, a different storyline than they're getting the crap.
Yeah, Notre Dame's going to lose 28 points. They play Georgia.
But what I'm saying is they want the best four entertainment vehicles for their product into the college football playoffs. And you got Notre Dame with some different juice, especially if a if Michigan goes down, Alabama goes down, Cincinnati goes down, it's teams like that, you've got obviously Oklahoma State going down as well. Don't give them a reason to get a team like Notre Dame with a storyline into that Final Four.
We're going to hear from Roman Harper from the SEC Network in a moment, but let me ask you. Let's say Alabama loses today close. That's 2 losses. Notre Dame, no conference title game, but they'd be 11-1. Who do you think the committee prefers, 2-loss Alabama or 1-loss Notre Dame there at that point?
I think that would be a 1-loss Notre Dame, especially with the promotional kick in there as well. And the hardest thing now is, what are you going to do if you're going to try and mix 1 versus 4 the right way to keep Georgia away from Alabama? Now, a close loss, like something like 27-24, I think it brings Bama back in. But I think it brings Bama back in over maybe a Cincinnati or another team like that.
I will say this. I think hiring Marcus Freeman off the current staff as head coach right away, I think that might preserve some of Notre Dame's playoff credentials, where if they reached outside the program for an entirely new reboot, maybe that might cause the committee not to consider them at all. But I think there was definitely some sourness, if that's a word, about from the committee about Notre Dame last week. I've got my eye on that today. Frankly, I think there's actually at least one other 2-loss team that is going to get some consideration for the playoff, and I think that's still Ohio State there as well, if enough chaos were to take place. And honestly, if Baylor wins the Big 12, they may try to make an argument for themselves as a 2-loss team in that discussion there too. So there's obviously plenty of time to figure out all of that. By the way, we'll also be live tomorrow, late morning, rolling into the noon announcement for the college football playoff. We'll do Chase for the Championship again live on the Dog Nation video channels tomorrow. I'll be there with you for that. Hopefully I'm bleary-eyed after a celebratory night of Georgia getting by Alabama, but one way or another, we'll be there with you to talk about the outcome for Georgia in the college football playoff. We'll do that, probably 11:30, 11:45. We'll be on the air tomorrow, rolling into the noon announcement for the college football playoff. As far as Georgia, Alabama here today, clearly it's a Dogs defense that's been the most dominant unit, not just of the 2 teams involved in this game, but the most dominant unit of any team in college football all around here this season. A guy that's a very big fan of that defense, impressed with what they've been able to put together. In fact, he pulled me privately aside and told me that very fact. Roman Harper, he played at Alabama, but he likes what he's seeing from this Georgia team. He's an SEC Network analyst. I think he's doing a great job, an up-and-coming analyst, really in a lot of ways. And Roman Harper was with us yesterday as a part of our Chase for the Championship coverage. So he breaks down this Georgia defense, what to expect, and the specific challenge that Alabama brings offensively here there too. So good stuff from Roman Harper from the SEC Network as Chase for the Championship rolls on from our Chase for the Championship tailgate just outside Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Enjoy it right now. Here with Roman Harper, SEC Network analyst, and you love the defensive side of the football, and by this time of the year, so much has been said about what Georgia's defense has been able to do this season. What in particular comes to mind when you describe what you've seen from that unit after the last 12 games?
The physicality, the rate and the speed in which they play, the effort and the intensity. They don't blow coverages. They know where everybody's supposed to be. And the linebackers, the way they rotate them, Kobe Dean, Quay Walker, Channing Tindall, are just amazing. They're the best. It's the best thing in football I've watched all year long is watching Georgia play defense all year. And it's something that I will be tuned in and can't wait to see tomorrow as well.
When it comes to guys like that, you mentioned the linebackers, Dean and Tindall, and these are guys that maybe could have more snaps somewhere else, more stats. What does it say to you as a former player that these guys in a lot of respects have been willing to kind of share some of that glory and what certainly appears to be contributing to team success because of that?
Well, it's because they bought in. They understand what works for them, and they bought into the system. It's not about me. It's about us and our success, and they really take pride in that. You can tell by, against who is that, Missouri. Missouri got all the way down there to the 1-yard line, and they held them out. Even by the guys that are non-starters, how prideful they were and how much they celebrated that. That lets me know what that means to that team and that defense. So I know they have goals and aspirations, but it's all part of it, and it's all group effort, and they understand that. It's really, really, really good to see those things happen. I've been on a defense like that. So when you take pride in the way you work and go out there and perform, especially in an age where it's all about offense all the time, you really stand out.
Of course, Alabama's a different kind of challenge offensively. What do you think about the matchup in particular on Saturday?
Well, Alabama's going to want to be explosive. They want to try and play at a different sense of tempo and pace, and understanding that would slow down Georgia's big guys up front, that if you get them a whole bunch of plays or speeding up on them, they're going to be less effective. So you want to try and control the tempo, and you also want to try and get out to an early lead. If Alabama's up, they're going to be in a good spot because now Georgia's playing from behind, somewhat that they're not used to doing. And Georgia, we all know, is like, they're like the UFC guy that's a wrestler. They choke you out when they get up. They get up, they run the football, they drain the clock, and they play stifling defense. And so they are very comfortable in that position, and that's what they've been all year long.
Here with Roman Harper. Back here live at our Chase for the Championship tailgate. Great stuff there from Roman Harper from the SEC Network. And look who stopped by to see us here for our big tailgate event. You know him from Go With The Flow. It's Dari Payro from RS Andrews. Dari, great to have you here, and hope you're having a good time and enjoying what's going to be a great day of college football.
Oh, yeah, glad to be here. Weather's great. Hoping for a big Dogs victory today. I'm excited, Brandon.
I'm excited there as well. So we're having a great time. And, of course, RS Andrews is a great partner for us here at Dog Nation and a big part of Chase for the Championship, sure enough. Those fancy T-shirts that I showed you a moment ago and all this good food and beverage, we couldn't do that without our friends at RS Andrews. They've been with us every step of the way, and glad to have them here today. And I don't want to get ahead of myself, but there's a chance there may be also more RS Andrews involvement as we kind of roll towards the national championship there a little bit too, maybe, right?
Oh, no doubt. All the way to Indy, baby.
I love Dari's confidence. Sometimes I have to kind of borrow Dari's confidence a little bit, but nonetheless, I enjoy that for sure. Something else I think you're going to enjoy, we're going to have a chance to hear from Tim Tebow, SEC network analyst. I'll let you hear from him in a moment on the subject of Stetson Bennett. I'll also remind you, as we said before, with our friends at RS Andrews, you can find them online, rsandrews.com. Air conditioning, heating, plumbing, electric, they'll do all that for you. They show up on time. The work that's promised for the price that's promised. Get that heating system, second opinion. Somebody may have told you that you need a new one. Get a second opinion from RS Andrews. Find out if that's really true. They may be able to breathe some new life into that unit and get it back to factory fresh specs for you with a great RS Andrews tune-up. So rsandrews.com for a lot more on that. With Tim Tebow coming up, two things you're going to notice about this interview. First of all, it's a little dog versus gator. That's always a little bit of an issue. Tebow gets a little upset with me because I bring up him losing and as an Alabama beating Florida when Florida was favored in the 2009 SEC championship. He tries to come back and give me the 2015 loss for Georgia as a favorite against Alabama. I reject that. But sure enough, Tebow does give you some interesting analysis when it comes to what to expect from Stetson Bennett today. I think you're going to find this to be pretty interesting from Tebow. He's won a Heisman Trophy. He's won in Atlanta, not this building. It was an old building. But he's won in this building before. He's done battle with Nick Saban. A very interesting guy to hear from on a day like this, one-on-one with Tim Tebow here as Chase for the Championship rolls on. Take a look at that right now. Here with Tim Tebow, the former Heisman Trophy winner and, of course, SEC Network analyst. And you guys had a big win against Alabama back in 2008, but in 2009 as a favorite. You also saw Alabama, sneak up. Listen, I hate to bring that memory up, but it is relevant for today's game, Saturday's game, because it's Alabama as an underdog again. And if anybody can speak to how dangerous they can be in that role, I guess it's you.
So dangerous. I think Nick Saban thrives in those moments. I think there's only been one time since that game, and that was when Georgia played Alabama in Athens. I think
Georgia fans would say, thanks for bringing that memory up. They don't want to hear about that.
And that was, I think it was only Georgia's favored by maybe one in that game. And so you think about all these years, there's been two times that another team has been favored. That's crazy. But in both of those moments, Saban has had incredible game plans and then rallied his team around it. I expect the same thing. Listen, Alabama did not look good at all last week. And I think if you think that they're going to show up again playing like that, then you're underestimating one of the most talented teams and best coaches in history. I think they'll show up ready to play. But I also think Georgia has probably the most complete team in the country from top to bottom, playing at such a high level. And I really think the difference in this game is what style of play is going to happen early. Is if Georgia gets a lead, can it be ground and pound, defense, get after the quarterback? If Alabama becomes their style of play, can they spread it out? Can they use their weapons on the outside? And then can they put Georgia and Stetson Bennett in a place that they've never been, behind in a game, having to throw the ball? And I really think that, styles make fights. And the last couple times these teams match, it was a similar style and a similar fight, right? They almost mirrored each other. I'm excited about this game because they're totally different. You're seeing Georgia, even their defenses that used to be the same scheme has changed, and Kirby's changed a lot of his schemes. And so it's going to be fascinating. I really think this will be one of the most fun championship games that I'm probably looking forward to this one the most since I probably played in it.
As a quarterback, what would you like to see from Stetson Bennett on Saturday?
That it might not just be a time where I can be a game manager. I might need to be a game winner. and there's a difference. And he has done everything he's needed to do. And I don't think he gets the credit he deserves. But in this game, if Alabama, Bryce Young, Jameson Williams can make a few plays, can he answer it? Because I think he's got that in him. But this would be that stage where all of a sudden you're called on to not just, hey, manage this, get it to the right guy, make a play with your leg, but to go win it. I think he has it in him. And if it comes down to that, I would be excited to see what happens.
Back here live, chase for the championship at our Dog Nation tailgate, getting ready for a big one there on Saturday. And a little dog versus gator stuff going on there with Tim Tebow. But, it's always nice when you can bring a Heisman Trophy winner onto the program, even if it was the orange and blue version of all of that. Big thanks to all the sponsors that have made this so much fun for us leading through the month of November now to the first Saturday here in December for the SEC Championship, including our friends at Georgia Farm Bureau. I've told you about Georgia Farm Bureau throughout the season. And when it comes to dependable transportation and getting where you need to go, part of that is also reliable auto insurance, an organization that insures folks all across the state of Georgia and has been doing that and taking good care of people for a long time. Georgia Farm Bureau folks, the agents, the claims adjusters, the whole team there, they live, they work, and they thrive in communities just like yours across the state of Georgia. So check them out for auto insurance. They've been taking care of Georgians since 1959. And they can take care of you there as well. So find them online, gfbinsurance.com, gfbinsurance.com, and find out why Georgia Farm Bureau is always the home team and the source you want to turn to for your auto insurance needs. Jeff, time now to wrap things up. Let's remind folks, though, it's a big day of coverage here at Dog Nation. Of course, throughout the day on the website at dognation.com. Dog Nation Forum is going to be blowing up as per usual. Also, a lot of video coverage, too. We'll be back on video again, really, in just a few minutes' time from inside the stadium for our Kroger Kickoff pregame show, a chance to set the stage and get a taste of the scene from inside the stadium right there. Of course, after the game today, Dog Nation postgame show. I do not ask for much in life. I feel like I don't have a lot of big asks. I don't want a Rolls Royce. I don't want a mansion in the hills. I just want to win this game today so bad. I've been saying it on Twitter all week long. The 2 words, 8 letters. Beat Bama. That is what. Can we just please see Georgia get this win today? I want to be doing a victorious postgame show later on today.
I mean, it would be funny if we could cue up the video of here we are again, and then start playing it, and then cut it off and say no more. I mean, I'm telling you, folks. Last broadcast we had together, Brandon popped open a cold one and finished his show. Folks, if Georgia gets this win, he's going to shave his head. He's going to have a Stone Cold Steve Austin look. He's going to smash a couple of adult beverages together and pour him on his microphone as he starts broadcasting.
One of our great Dog Nation listeners, you hear me talk about Bob Zamlin sometimes. He actually gave me a gift at Marlowe's and Brookhaven on Thursday. I can't really tell you what it is right now because I don't want to spoil it because, let's face it, there's mystical powers governing all of this. But it could be a very nice celebration indeed if Georgia can get that done. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing today, I hope you enjoy it. Be with friends, be with big dog people. Get ready for this game. If you're going inside the stadium, you're either elite or you're not. Be ready to be elite. Be ready to be loud. Be ready to help bring this home. And when it's all said and done, when all 60 minutes are off this clock, you better celebrate like you've never celebrated before. It's that kind of day here. Nowhere we'd rather be than downtown Atlanta. Chase for the championship tailgate, inside for the Kroger kickoff coming up after that, and after the game for what I know is going to be a celebratory postgame show presented by the UGA bookstore. Stay close to Dog Nation all day long today. Enjoy the SEC championship. Beat Bama. We'll talk to you again in a few minutes, everybody.